Hello everyone, welcome to the U.S. Immigration Hub. For hundreds of thousands of families and workers waiting in long lines for their green cards, every Visa Bulletin feels like a pulse check, a small glimpse into whether their future in America is moving closer or standing still. And as we approach December 2025, all eyes are on what happens next. Will your priority date finally move forward, or will the backlog continue to hold you in place? In this video, we'll look ahead to the December 2025 Visa Bulletin. What's likely to happen with family and employment-based categories, what the trends suggest for priority date movement, and how you can plan smartly for the months ahead. If you're enjoying this video, please hit the bell icon, subscribe, and like it so you can get updates straight to your cell phone. Now, let's get into the video. Each month, the Visa Bulletin issued by the U.S. Department of State decides who can move forward, who can finally file for adjustment of status, who can attend a consular interview, and who still has to wait. For most people, that single date defines when a family can reunite, or when a skilled worker can finally get permanent residence. But 2025 has been a turbulent year for priority dates. Even though demand is historically high, visa number availability has been stretched thin across both family and employment categories. The Trump administration's ongoing tightening of immigration procedures, combined with policy shifts at USCIS and the National Visa Center, has made every forward movement slower and harder to predict. So, what can we realistically expect in the December 2025 Visa Bulletin? Based on the current trends and data from USCIS and the Department of State, the December Bulletin is expected to bring only modest forward movement in most categories, with some staying completely unchanged. Let's break down what that means for you in plain language. For family-based categories such as F1 for adult children of U.S. citizens, F2A and F2B for spouses and children of green card holders, F3 for married children, and F4 for siblings, there may be slight advancement anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks in most regions. However, countries with the heaviest demand, such as Mexico and the Philippines, may barely move or remain frozen due to high backlogs and limited visa numbers. For applicants from India and China in the family preference lines, movement may be minimal, possibly 1 to 2 weeks at best. The F2A category, which had advanced rapidly earlier this year, is now expected to slow as the year-end visa count nears exhaustion. Meanwhile, employment-based categories are expected to stay mixed. EB1 may continue to remain current for most countries, but EB2 and EB3 for India and China will likely see little or no advancement. These categories have faced persistent backlogs as visa demand continues to outpace availability, despite earlier hopes of recapturing unused numbers. In short, December's bulletin may be more of a quiet month. Small movements, continued caution, and a possible wait for larger changes in early 2026 when new visa numbers are released. Now, let's talk about the filing charts, the difference between the final action dates and the dates for filing that USCIS uses. This matters because it determines whether you can actually submit your adjustment of status application. In recent months, USCIS has alternated between the two charts depending on case volume. If demand remains high going into December, USCIS may once again use the final action dates chart, which means fewer people will be allowed to file their applications that month. But if visa usage slows slightly, we might see USCIS revert to the dates for filing chart, opening a brief window for new applicants to submit paperwork before the end of the year. So what should you do now? If your priority date is close to becoming current or within just a few months, this is the moment to prepare your full adjustment package. That means getting your civil documents, medical exams, and financial paperwork in order so that if your date becomes current, you can file immediately. If you're still several years away, the most important step is to stay informed and avoid mistakes that can reset your wait time, such as missing document requests, filing incomplete petitions, or failing to respond to the National Visa Center on time. For those in employment categories, stay in close contact with your employer or attorney. Make sure your PERM and I-140 information is up to date. If you're an H-1B, L-1, or another temporary status and your green card process depends on a priority date that's nearly current, you may want to prepare advanced documentation or, even explore portability options under AC-21 once your adjustment is pending. For family-based applicants, double-check that all your petitioner's documents are current, like tax returns, affidavit of support, and relationship evidence. And if USCIS requests more proof, just be sure to respond quickly. With the new policy guidance introduced earlier this year under Joseph B. Edlow's USCIS leadership, missing or incomplete evidence could honestly trigger delays that last months. Let's also talk briefly about what's next after December. January 2026 will mark the beginning of a new visa number year, which often brings small resets and reallocations. That means even if your date doesn't move this December, the early part of 2026 could bring renewed forward motion as unused visas roll over from other categories. But remember, 2025's year-end slowdown is not permanent, it's administrative. Every cycle follows the same pattern. Things tighten near the fiscal year's close, and then movement typically returns once fresh numbers are available. So, while December 2025 may not deliver huge jumps, it's a critical time to prepare. Being ready with every document, every form, and every fee in place ensures you don't lose a month once the line moves again. December 2025's Visa Bulletin is likely to be steady rather than spectacular. Family-based categories may inch forward slightly, while employment-based categories could remain flat. The Department of State continues to caution that high demand and administrative reviews may keep movement slow through the end of the year. The smartest step you can take now is preparation. Check your category, review your dates, gather your documents, and watch closely when the bulletin releases because even a few weeks of movement can make all the difference. That's all we have for this bulletin. The U.S. Immigration News Channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It's important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and, more. We'll continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas such as B1 and B2 work visas such as L1A, L1B, and H1B student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5 and family immigrant visas. If you haven't already